Good evening. It is 6 p.m. This is the September 24th regular business meeting of the Sandwich School Committee. We're going to begin, as always, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live via live stream at www.sandwichtv.org and on Sandwich Community Television Education Channel 8. I think it is also being recorded by the Sandwich Enterprise. First up for the evening is our first public forum of the evening. Would anybody like to come forward to public forum? So, someone is coming forward. All right, sir, if, you don't have to do it right now, but when you're done, if you could just, your name and your address there. You can do it after you're done if you like. Right there where you can be the student representative. Just make sure your green light is on. Just a quick refresh, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals. In the school committee, it's an individual's opportunity to express an opinion on issues within the school committee's authority. 5 minutes, we listen. The select board expanded it to 5 last year, and we've aligned it. So,
wish I knew. With
that, I just ask that you your name and your address as you begin, sir.
Mike Pacone, 11 Carver Drive, Sandwich. We are parents of 3 children in public schools, 2 of whom have had IEPs. I am here tonight concerned about academic responsibility and the district's responsibility to provide a neutral and safe environment for students. On the second day of school, our younger son, who has autism and ADHD, came home fixated on a protect transgender kids' rights sign in school. For a child on the spectrum, that turned into an unhealthy perseveration because he is aware of the shooting committed by a transgender killing 2 Catholic children in a church. As a Catholic himself, the message left him fearful and confused. The principal and staff acknowledged the concern and were willing to take down the sign, but the superintendent overruled them and insisted the sign remain. That choice placed politics above students' needs. It also forces us to ask a very simple question. What rights do our children have that transgender children do not? The answer is none. This is not about rights. This is about ideology being forced in schools. The broader context cannot be ignored. We have seen multiple recent violent acts carried out by individuals radicalized under this transgender ideology. These are not isolated tragedies, they are politically charged. When a vulnerable child enters a social worker's office, trusted to help that child with social behaviors, and sees a sign demanding protect trans kids' rights, it sends a chilling one-sided message distracting the student while ignoring the concerns of families and fellow educators who are concerned over the controversies surrounding it. Our family does not condemn anyone's private choices. I served protecting those rights. But schools are not the place for ideological or sexual activism. There is no balance, no debate, no signs protecting opposing views, no signs protecting Christian students, only one message, and anyone who disagrees is labeled or silenced. That is divisive, not inclusive, and forcing parents to be concerned with retaliation towards their child, the student. We want a safe environment for every child, adults and educators forcing their opinions on young minds is not education. Meanwhile, the core mission of education is being neglected. IEPs are late and unfulfilled. One-on-one aids are missing. Facilities are crumbling. Yet leadership continues to allow essential time and energy to flags, pronouns, and ideological displays, and noncompliance or disapproval is labeled disrespect. This is a distraction from academics, teachers performing their duties, and it comes at the direct expense of the students and the taxpayer. Our children, especially those with special needs, should not be coerced into compliance with an ideology, nor should they fear being singled out because their parents believe in biological sex. As my own son was singled out again today on the bus and called a homophobe. Bullying. They deserve better. They deserve schools that are prioritizing learning, safety, and truth over ideologies. Finally, our own town of Sandwich passed a law stating that only the American flags may be flown in public buildings. I believe that same standard should also apply inside government buildings, including our schools. It is time for leadership, specifically the superintendent, to put the focus back where it belongs, on education and educating our students, not political ideologies. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to come forward for public comment? See none. Moving on to the student representative report.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be back. I hope that you all had a great summer, and I cannot wait to be reporting on the schools again. So I'll just get started. First with Forestdale, it started off as a very great school year. Everything was very smooth, whether it be they were entering second grade or if they were entering preschool, they all had a smooth transition. I babysit some kids, and I know they were all so excited to go back to school, which is always a great sign for us to hear that they are eager to go back, and that it's good to hear for us because then we know that we have a welcoming environment that they want to go back to. For Forestdale, Picture Day was on Friday, September 12th. So I know I say this all the time, but I still think about when they wear the suits and when they wear fun dresses and they get to like act as an adult for a day, dressing up for their school pictures. September 18th was their open house. So lots of parents also got to meet their students, meet their teachers, sorry. And I know that a couple teachers, they had like games for the parents as an icebreaker. So it was like, how well do you know your kid? And it was just like fun little facts about them, which is great because that means that the teachers are connecting with the students along with connecting with the parents. And I know one of our most important priorities is safety. So the evacuation and lockdown drills were held, which were very successful, and they were great. Everything was done in a safe and supportive manner. So it's really great that all of that was done. In Oak Ridge, we know that we had a new transition to a new principal, but everything has also been very smooth, very great. They have School Spirit Fridays, which is when students will dress up in like school spirit gear, and it kind of gives a welcoming and united front from the beginning. I know that the high school did that in a little bit, and it was just great to see everyone show their school spirit, whether it be wearing their sports jerseys or just any school shirts that they had. Open house for them and Picture Day, two very important days, is tomorrow for them. So as well as the kids laying out their outfits for Picture Day, I know the parents will also be laying out their outfits to meet the teachers for open house. So that would be very exciting for everyone part of who has people going to Oak Ridge. And a fun school-wide competition that they had was Oak Ridge a poster for Oak Ridge, and they chose a winner from each grade, and then eventually those winners will get their artworks made into magnets, which is so great because I know school-wide competition brings everyone together. It gets the students to be a little bit like competitive with each other, and then the fact that they're in magnet form celebrates their artwork that they've created, so that's also great. In the high school, we have a lot of new, exciting things happening. On the first Friday of the year, we had our senior picnic, which is kind of crazy to say. We had it at Camp Burgess, and we're so grateful for all of the sponsors that we had, whether it be Brooklyn Heights, which their pizza is amazing, or the Swedish Candy little bags, which everyone enjoyed. it was so much fun, and they had water trampolines and just a bunch of games for the seniors to enjoy. In the pathways, one of the classes is biomedical science, and they had like a crime scene set up, and they would use like DNA and biomed skills to essentially figure out any clues about this crime scene, which allows them to kind of, it's what the pathways are essentially doing, allows them to see more in real life opportunities, which is great. And I heard a lot of positive reviews about all those classes. KTC has a new director, Anthony Texera, who actually is a Sandwich High School alum, and he used to be the president of KTC as well, which is so interesting. And I've heard such positive things. They have their show, which is still happening. I was a little bit worried because I love their shows. Alice in the Wonderland, I think it's sometime like late winter, but they're still gonna have it, and I'm so excited to see the production that they're gonna put on. And lastly, we've had the Nights in Training program, which is when the 7th graders are, instead of freshman seminar, we've had the 7th graders working with the seniors and building those bonds. And I have friends that are in the senior class, and a lot of them have been saying that they love the class, and they've like created so many, like 7th graders are gaining life skills such as like presenting, which are things that like they sometimes like learning in a separate class other than academic class is helpful, but they've also been creating like such great bonds. Like I know a bunch of them have handshakes with each other whenever they see each other in the hallways. It's really enthusiastic. So there's been lots of positive reviews about that as well. So far, the school year has started off very smoothly, and hopefully we'll have all positive news to keep coming. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Ms. Higgins.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I think that the Nights in Training is an amazing thing for, the seniors and the younger kids too. Plus, like helping with learning those life skills like executive functioning and, learning things that they normally wouldn't learn without that mentorship. So I think that that's just a great program.
Yeah, I also think it's great because it connects the middle school and the high school a little bit more, because we have like the middle school wing, but because they come to the high school and they have these like friendships created, like they become more involved and they feel a little bit more comfortable with the environment. So yeah.
Ms. Beninda.
Yeah, and to have the familiarity of the seniors and the 7th graders, if they see each other, in the halls or after school, that's great. And tomorrow's the club fair at
Tomorrow
school.
is the club fair, yes.
How many tables will you be running? Do I dare ask?
Just a couple tables. Yeah, it's very exciting. The club fair will be so much fun. I've had a lot of, there's a lot of new clubs this year, or a lot of continuations from clubs. So I'm excited to see everyone kind of being a part of all of them. So, yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Shreya.
Anything else? Thank you very much, Shreya. Great to see you.
Shreya, can you stay here for a second?
Yeah.
I don't mean to embarrass her or put her on the spot, but there's something that this committee needs to know, and I think Shreya, to say that she represents us and represents us well would be the understatement of the year. This is her first report for this school year. I do want to report out that during the summer, that is a picture of Shreya in the auditorium of Mashpee Middle High School, presenting to over 400 assistant and superintendents and superintendents across the state. The day before, she gave a presentation, a small breakout presentation, as a Project 351 ambassador on the Playbook Initiative, which we've talked about and we will be talking about again. But realize she kind of gave an opening pre-keynote one of the mornings of the conference on really what drives her passion in the work that she does around the Playbook Initiative. I had numerous colleagues walk up to me after the fact and say, "Oh my God, you're so lucky that you've got her," and I couldn't believe that. So hats off, kudos. You represented Sandwich Middle High School in our community remarkably. Sorry if I embarrassed you, kid.
No, it's okay. I just want to say thank you because that was all possible because of all of you guys, because you guys have given me the opportunity to be a representative, and whether it be like through this or the advisory committee or any place, you guys have also value our student voices so much, and that really inspires me so much, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you guys so much.
Well done, and thank you. Next up is review and act on the meeting minutes of our regular business meeting of September 10th, 2025.
I make a motion we approve the minutes as presented from September 10th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Benenda, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Next up is correspondence and announcements. I have none. No one else? Moving on to the superintendent's update.
All right, good evening, everybody. I have, and you should have this in your packet, presentation of what we typically do is look at the previous year's data. Just last Friday, all the cumulative data from 24-25 was released to the public. So I think there's some useful data. If we look at our attendance rates and then average number of absences for students to start with, we did across the board at the district have an improvement over 2024. So those numbers that you see there for each of the schools in the district in boldface represent our average daily attendance rate, and then in parentheses is the average number of absences in the school year. Now keep in mind with this data, as far as it's reported, there is no differentiation of excused or unexcused, and absence is an absence is an absence. So again, a modest improvement from 93.5 to 94.0. The general trend, and again, 20 and 21 are missing due to them being the pandemic years and incomplete data. But that 2019 is still kind of the benchmark as far as looking at pre-pandemic. If you look at the state, it's 93.2. We're slightly above, better than the state overall attendance rate. And then again, and as we've talked about in the past, chronic absenteeism continues to be an ongoing problem, as we discussed last year. It still is very thorny. I do, looking at those headlines, that one in the upper right-hand corner, 7 insights about chronic absenteeism, a new normal for American schools. There's a lot of factors that go into that, which I'll discuss in a minute. But it's a thorny issue for everyone. And keep in mind, not only here in Massachusetts, but it's kind of a universal definition where chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% or more of the school year. So with 180 compulsory days, that would be 18 absences or more. It's a significant amount. And again, there's no differentiation of whether the absence is excused or unexcused. So in looking at the state data, again, for 2020, the 24-25 school year, it's at 18.8% of students, so almost 20%, 1/5 of students were chronically absent. When you juxtapose our data, we're at last school year, we were at 14.4%. The good news is, more of a decrease that we'd like to see, and that's about 3.5% fewer in 24-25 versus 23-24. But again, we still have work to do. Again, the largest place, the place that has the greatest instance of chronic absenteeism is not the middle high school, but it's Forestdale. And we've consistently seen that trend post-pandemic. Again, I think there's a whole multitude of reasons for that related to kindergarten doesn't have compulsory attendance requirements, but kind of the mindset also, if your child is sick, or now we have more parents working remotely, and so on. So I think those are all issues. However, I do want to commend the staff and the administration in looking at the change and how much we've decreased chronic absenteeism from the 23-24 to the 24-25 school year. There have been some really good attempts as far as just kind of more outreach, more of a personalized touch with families of chronically absent students.
Quick question.
Yeah. Question. Too.
I'll defer to Ms. Benenda first.
I was just going to say, what's the process of, is there like so many days of absenteeism, and then the staff sends a letter like, hey, you're in danger?
Yeah, we have built into Power School automated letters that go out after 6 absences, 11 absences, and so on. But and particularly at the younger grades, we've done more of a personalized touch of having somebody like the homeroom teacher directly reach out to parents, so that it's not a form letter, it's not an assistant principal or a social worker, but rather the child's classroom teacher. Maybe start with an email, follow it up with a phone call, that type of thing.
Okay.
And there's a whole body of research that shows that's a lot
Better
more
approach.
efficacious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate bringing up COVID every time, but I'm looking at these numbers, and you kind of touched on people working from home. I can see how that could play into it. Some of it might be habits that were developed during the 2020 and 2021 year, but like
Sure.
kids in Forestdale were 1 and 2 years old, and it's gone from 2% to 15%.
Yeah.
Any other theories on that?
That's one of my last slides.
Let me just steal your thunder.
Some of it is, again, when you have a situation where a parent may be working remotely and is home, rather than sending their student in when they have the sniffles or something to that effect, they keep them home. We do also have an increase in English language learners. I've had the opportunity to sit in some MTSS meetings where we've had, Brazilian students who've gone back to Brazil for a period of 6 weeks or so. So again, when you're talking about chronic absenteeism, you're counting all absences. It's all inclusive. This year will mark.
Just a question, back to Forestdale again. Is there any indication that some parents may not see how critical every day matters in terms of the learning, the reading readiness, all of the good things that happen, and that they don't see it as real school yet?
That's hard to say. I mean, I think there could be instances of that, but I don't think I would paint a broad brush by any stretch of the imagination. I think most families work from very much a good faith, mindset, so to speak, as far as sending their children to school. I think there could be extenuating circumstances. There could be some challenging family dynamics. There's a whole multitude of reasons why students become chronically absent.
Do these numbers in Forestdale, do they include the integrated preschool, or is it just kindergarten?
It's K1 and 2.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we keep track of when a homeroom teacher, whoever it is reaching out to look for patterns, if it's anxiety?
Very much so, and particularly at Forestdale and Oak Ridge, as far as having something called the SST student support team meetings on a weekly basis, where those kids are tracked. And one of the places, it really is a multidisciplinary team approach. We also have, at the elementary level, Officer Huska, our SRO, sits in on those team meetings. So it's a good exchange of information if there are, some family dynamics at play, that she's cognizant of and so on. Yeah.
And it's documented somewhere that
Yes.
they've reached.
There are meeting notes and
Okay.
so on. Yeah. As I was saying, for the first time, probably in November, DESE will also be publishing for every school and district staff attendance as well. So what we have here is all of our average attendance rate across the district, plus each of the schools, and then the average number of absences. Again, that is all inclusive. So somebody, say, going out on maternity leave, or somebody with, a catastrophic illness or some, is also included in those numbers, and those are for our professional staff. So the good news is, if you look at 23-24 to 24-25, it is across the board, across the district and across all three of our schools, an increase in attendance rate and a decrease in absenteeism. And kind of looking at, as I was discussing before, I don't know if I'm in this space where I'm going to say we're in this new normal and just accept it. I think we have to continue to do the work. But I also think that we can't ignore, some of those first few bullet points. I talked about we have more hybrid working situations or remote working situations. I do want to stress it's kind of a dual-edged sword as far as how we've upped our game with respect to technology. It's great. We can stay in touch and so on. But particularly at the middle high school, where there's always that ongoing communication through Google Classroom, while you may have students out, they're still getting the assignments. They're still getting the work. So I think that is important. I would say for both students and staff, the whole piece around mental health and anxiety and stress and so on, that also plays a factor. Again, I have that bullet point. There are some positive trends, and I think we have to continue that work. We have to continue the work with direct outreach to families, particularly of those with chronically absent students. And, in some cases, particularly at the older grades, if we do have extreme cases where there is not, appropriate responses from families, we do file a CRA application through the Barnstable Juvenile Court. So any questions on that data?
Seeing none?
Okay, the second piece that we have is, I think, our second budget update for FY26. Michelle.
Yeah, good evening. Tonight you have the July report in front of you. What this will show you mainly is that all of our salaries are now in place, and we stayed right within budget with very little wiggle room. The yearly encumbrances have been put into place, like utilities, the out-of-district tuitions, things like that. And very little activity other than that. So any questions?
Though we're razor thin on budget, special ed is a
Yep.
pretty significant, we
There have
had
been-
savings elsewhere, but special ed was a significant negative.
That's pretty much driven by the students that come into district, and we've had to hire like another 5 or 6 ESPs, another like special ed teacher. I mean, there's been some extra hiring in that department.
Do we have all that we need?
I hope so.
Okay.
We do.
Do we have an idea of how many new students have come in to the special ed programs?
I'm thinking 5 or 6 at least. Plus, we have a growing number of McKinney-Vento children coming in the district, which is putting a strain on the transportation.
Yeah.
What was the term?
McKinney-Vento.
McKinney-Vento is a federal law that if you have a situation where a student under McKinney-Vento has the definition of being homeless, you are on the hook for continuing their education, but also their transportation. So you may have situations where a family is homeless, but they end up in a community outside of Sandwich. You're on the hook still for transporting and educating that student. So we've had situations where, because the family's very much in flux and has been transit, they've gone as far as away to say like Taunton. You're still on the hook for transporting that child from Taunton
Because
to
they were residents.
Sandwich.
Because they're still technically residents of Sandwich, got it.
Correct.
Because they were residents.
Yeah.
Mr.
Ms.
Chair,
Miller?
how much of an impact, or what is the degree of loss of federal grants into this year's programs that we're seeing?
We don't have a solid handle on that yet, for the simple reason that
Fiscal year.
the federal fiscal year has not begun yet. And we generally budget, and what has come to fruition has been completely level funded.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I have one quick one.
Oh,
So
bye.
you said we had to hire some more special ed staff throughout all 3 schools? Was it a higher
3 schools.
population in one school rather than the
All
other?
3 schools.
Anyone else? Any questions? Seeing none. Moving on, anything else?
No.
Moving on to old business, topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair, I have none. Moving on to new business, 2025-26 school improvement plans presentations.
So we have some folks here from each of the 3 schools to give, and you have in your packet the school improvement plans draft for 25-26. They've got concise presentations to give. I think what we'll do is we'll start with Kara, who is the assistant principal of Forestdale.
Could you make sure the green light is on? Just press the little button. Thank you.
That works so much better that way.
Now you can be heard at home.
This is our Forestdale Elementary Action Plan for 25-26. It was prepared by Chris Contino, who unfortunately couldn't be here this evening, so I am going to do my best to be him. Just visualize that. We based our 4 strategic initiatives on the district 5-year strategic plan, so we use that as our model. And our first strategic initiative is under teaching and learning, and this is developing the Forestdale School Garden curriculum. I'll be referencing the garden in our 4th initiative, but once the garden is in place, we are specifically setting our goals and outcomes, what themes we'll be studying, what essential questions we think children should be working through, and using the Portrait of a Learner competencies that are part of the 6 core competencies of the Sandwich Public Schools Portrait of a Learner, so referencing those of learning, adaptability, perseverance, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking, and designing a learner experience in our new learning space, keeping all those things in mind. This has been an amazing collaboration with PTA funding, the Mashpee Wampanoag Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe and Chinelke Paknet. He is coming back to do more presentations with our students, so a great collaboration, and I'm excited to see this go through. Our next initiative is Supports for All Students. We are, since COVID, which that was already brought up, there have not been continuous or frequent whole school assemblies, giving a chance to meet together, do community activities together, learning situations. So we are restarting those. We have the whole planning process, and they've been scheduled at this point. One has already been, we've already done one meeting this school year. We have a monthly theme, and there'll be follow-ups with the students in the classroom, followed by classroom teachers, by our specialists, and by our social workers. So following those themes. Our next initiative is through climate and culture, the school community. We're truly trying to work on those connections, fostering the connections with community and connecting our students with the schools in the district. So we're looking at student transitions between the schools and how it impacts their academic and social emotional well-being. We have a kindergarten information night. It's in the spring, welcoming incoming families, letting them know what is going to be coming for their kindergarten kiddos. We have a second grade visit to Oak Ridge so that the second graders can go see their new school, do a little scavenger hunt, see what the place looks like. The Forestdale and Oak Ridge social workers meet around that same time to discuss students. And then we have the second and third grade teachers meet in August to discuss, August or September, depends on the timing, but to discuss the students and really give that personal touch of, this worked well, this needed some help. We have an amazing program, Ride the Wave to Kindergarten. The planning time is from May to August. It's a 1 week long program in August for all incoming kindergarten. It is free to families. It gives students a chance to try out kindergarten, ride a bus, have some fun activities, ice cream, because Mr. D likes providing ice cream for the last day, so that's a biggie. And then we have a survey after Ride the Wave to just see how we can improve things or what we should consider for the next year. And our last initiative that we're working towards is under Facilities and Capital Planning. And this is the completion of our planned Forestdale School Community Garden and Learning Space. We are currently in the destruction process or demolishing process, which has been a great collaboration with our Sandwich Public Schools Director of Facilities and our contractor. So we currently have pretty much a big mud pit out front, but what's coming very shortly are 32 garden beds, one for each classroom, 2 frog ponds with irrigation and electricity. It will be fenced off from animals. There'll be birdhouses on each corner, and there will be a dedication ceremony once this is all put into place. And that is our plan for the next upcoming year. Any questions?
Questions for Ms. Schofield?
I just hope we get invited to the dedication ceremony.
Absolutely. It's going to be a public invite, so of course.
Not a question, but a comment. I have actually been stopped by 2 parents of rising kindergartners, because they're not rising anymore, they're there, that commented specifically about riding the wave and how they could not have spoken more highly of it. So I'm glad we are doing that. It is resonating, certainly with the parent, at least a couple parents. So lots of times, what we normally get is people complaining about something. So when someone stops me and compliments something we're doing is always great. So
Thank you.
good on that.
Great. No. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank you.
So next with Oak Ridge, we have Kevin Brajali and Anna Dunphy.
Good evening. Dr. Dunphy and I are going to kind of go back and forth between our goals. We're going to turn it over to Anna right now.
So beginning for our first goal that we're presenting on is around teaching and learning. We have made a lot of intentional moves to make sure that learning is deep and meaningful for all of our students. We're doing this through ensuring integration across the curriculum, that students are actively involved and engaged in learning opportunities, that there's a community connection, and that there's also a parent and family connection as well. Our teachers have been doing a great job over the years trying to build out these experiences. This strategic objective is really focused on building out that opportunity across the grade level so that ultimately each grade level will become known for a specific project or experience that students can look forward to and build upon their learning over the course of their year.
Thank you. The next one is regarding supports for all students, and we want to teach pro-social behaviors that promote an upstander culture inside the classroom and throughout the school. And so our action steps are to review and build upon a curriculum inventory that has been done in the past, which identifies with pro-social behaviors are taught and recommend areas for improvement. We want to establish a common language throughout the building so that all teachers are speaking the same language, and more importantly, all students are hearing the same thing from one grade to another, one teacher team to another, and have some universal rules throughout the building. And we will hold monthly student assemblies, a parent information night, and share resources with parents through our newsletter that highlight and strengthen where we can have that upstander culture. And we want to also celebrate student and staff upstander actions when they happen. It's kind of a positive reinforcement through recognition programs, newsletters, bulletin boards throughout the school as well.
Oak Ridge is in such a unique position because we're between the students coming to us from Forestdale and then leaving for the middle school. And we are very cognizant of the fact that we're both receiving students who've had particular experiences at Forestdale, and we want to replicate, celebrate, and build upon that. And we also want to position our students when they're leaving us to be incredibly successful at the middle school. We're going to be spending even more time this year focused on those transitions. So similar to what Kara had just presented, we, for the first time, had a transition of the second graders coming to Oak Ridge and actually physically coming to the space. In years past, the administrators had gone down and given presentations. It was a wonderfully new experience to see those wide eyes getting to roam the halls, celebrate with us, and we want to continue that for many years to come. We also just want to continue to build upon it as well. We do have a lot of opportunities for our sixth graders at the end of the year to be able to go up to the middle school, tour the area, meet the staff. And we like to find opportunities for the staff to collaborate across the buildings as well. One of the things that we're really excited about this year is to expand the idea of Blue Night culture and make sure that our students, even though they are Oak Ridge students, they are members of that larger Blue Night community. And we just mentioned, our student representative mentioned that we're having celebrations each Friday where we're encouraging people to wear school colors, wear school gear, but just really feeling like they are a part of that sandwich community. They are part of the Blue Night community.
And our last initiative is around facilities, where we want to ensure that the daily operation of facilities and grounds, cleaning and maintenance is effective and reflects pride and ownership, as Dr. Marusiak said. 36 years ago, the school opened. I happened to work there 35 years ago. I think people and buildings can sometimes look more tired 35 years later, and they look a little different. And I think there are areas that we want to work on to improve the look of the building. I want to publicly thank Michael Ryan, the Director of Facilities. He's worked very closely with us. We meet every 2 weeks to review building needs, and we circle back to make sure they've been addressed. And he's been very helpful that way. We're going to conduct a facilities audit and prioritize upgrades as it deals with grounds, painting, flooring, repairs. By the way, we're very grateful for the capital planning that was able to put money into the schools and do the HVAC system, which is working very well. So that's a very good thing. We want to enhance indoor and outdoor spaces for student and community use. We're exploring trying to create some outdoor seating during lunch to get kids more fresh air, and maybe ideally create an outdoor classroom on our campus. And then lastly, this idea of school pride has been very common here, but we want to work with our custodians and our maintenance staff to instill in them a pride in the building as well. and really stay on top of them, to monitor them, trust but verify, and reward them and acknowledge them when they do a good job. So to keep that building in tip-top shape. And that's our plan.
Dr. Miller.
I was really interested in the concept of capstone. You don't generally hear about capstone at that level of education. So I'm curious as to what is the capstone of? Is it the grade? Is it their time at Oak Ridge? And then just for our high school people, I saw no notion of capstone in the high school plan, but this idea of consistency, at least in the big headings across each building, was interesting in terms of assessment. So just if you could comment a little bit.
So our teachers are already offering students some really fabulous projects that they are known for. So this is building upon that work and shifting that language to be even more intentional. So it would be a grade level capstone project. This is a 3-year process of learning, building, growing upon. So we're in early stages now. We have groups of teachers who are working together to pilot some of these experiences, and then we'll be reflecting and building them out even further. But the idea would be that the hallmarks, authentic learning experience, that there is a real community connection. So figuring out how to partner with our community members to make sure that students are seeing the relevance to their learning and that it is authentic in that way, making sure that it's presentable to families so that they can see what learning has transpired. There needs to be an intercurriculum component so that there's many different learning opportunities across the curriculum, and then that there's going to be touchstones throughout the year where that learning builds upon itself towards the end of the year. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, Jeannie with the middle high school.
Hello. Just like Oak Ridge and Forestdale, we have very, very similar targets broken down into teaching and learning, support for all students, climate and culture, and then facilities and capital planning. So at Sandwich Middle High School, this year, our 2 goals for our professional development internally are focusing on grading practices and audit of grading practices, and starting to kind of dive into alignment per course, department, and then school-wide as well. Deeper learning continues. We started that last year, and that's authentic learning that bridges outside community stakeholders with classroom learning and making experiences relevant for kids, which would align with capstone in some way, but now we're just calling it deeper learning, authentic learning. So we're working on best practices with the staff, continue to do that. The math platforms continue, so Alex and iReady, that's specific to the math department, but personalized learning for students in math. We are growing our career exploration and internship opportunities for students, and we have an internship coordinator who's actively pursuing interest in the community and the region to provide students with internships in very specific areas. And we are also launching this year the business and science pathways. Biomedical pathway and the business pathway. Computer science is up and running, and we're happy to report that that's gaining some traction. So support for all students, we are going to jump on the district-wide team to review multi-tiered systems of support. We're continuing with our co-teaching model and moving it up into some 9th grade classes as well this year. And best practices, culturally responsive practices, inclusive practices, so through the lens of instruction, support for all students in a universal way. Climate and culture, community connections, and this relates not only to the student learning experience, but also to a service-minded mentality. We have so many students in different societies and clubs, and to give back to the community and help there, that's also a definite goal for Sandwich Middle High School. Again, to mimic Oak Ridge and Forestdale, we've identified transitions being difficult for students, and so we're going to work together across the district to improve those transitions, so for families, for the adults as much as for the students. And finally, one district collaboration among all 3 schools. So in this way, we are finding tremendous success with the senior 7th grade model, and there's no reason why we can't kind of expand that, magnify that, and have our students as well go into Forestdale, go into Oak Ridge, build those relationships, and create a community of one school. Finally, facilities and capital planning. We really would like to improve and enhance our relationships with the school resource officers at our grade level. It's a critical relationship that can have so much power. And so we definitely want to work together, and we are working together, and that's good. But that's definitely a goal for us. Long-term, current, and urgent projects, not only to address them, but also to publicize them. So we want to be really transparent. And to echo Mr. Bergioli, we also have found working with Mike Ryan to be phenomenal. So we're having a lot of success just with responsiveness and collaboration, communication. So I'm very hopeful about those projects coming to fruition. And finally, safety and security. Through the lens of technology, which is critical nowadays to make sure that we're prepared with infrastructure and efficiency. And then we have the training as well with the staff and with the students. So those are essentially our 3 big buckets for facilities.
Questions? Everyone's speechless tonight. No question specific. I know, just kind of piggybacking on Dr. Miller's comment about the capstone, I'm very interested to see how that develops at the Oak Ridge level. I do know, Sue, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I think a number of years ago, there used to be a project required as a graduation requirement, and that, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole tonight, but that has its own challenges. If we were to have that, is it a requirement, is it not a requirement, how do you deal with that? But I'm interested to see how it goes at the Oak Ridge level first.
We do have senior project in the program of studies, and that does exist, and we do have some students doing senior project, which is a student-generated, student kind of idea that they come forward with, and they make the plan, and then we approve it. And it happens senior year, and it does have like outside elements that are required for them to have connections with the real world. So,
Dr. Miller.
It's interesting to want to pull something like that together for seniors, but other than the introspective piece, whatever they would put together in terms of portfolio of their work, they really need it at application time. So, and I'm sure a lot of them have very creative ways to demonstrate to their future colleges what they've learned.
right, it almost should be junior project.
Well, or at least phase 1, phase 2 kind of thing.
Right.
Ms. Menenda.
I wanted to comment on the climate and culture. I think we talked about this at our summer workshop 2 years ago, I think, about building intentional relationships with community stakeholders. I think that's crucial. It's a small town, and we have a lot of businesses, and I think the more that we can collaborate and intertwine our students with the local businesses, the better. So thank you. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I didn't comment when Oak Ridge was up, but connecting the high school to those kids at Oak Ridge. Anytime I've ever been there, I don't know if it was Kindness Day or whatever, and you see whatever team in their jerseys. I remember the hockey team was there once. I mean, the kids look up with eyes of wonder, but sometimes I think the older kids get just as much out of it. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, we agree. We've already sent students to Forestdale this year, which Ed and I just spoke to Kevin now about sending students to Oak Ridge. So we're definitely making it a priority.
Okay. Any other questions for Principal Nelson? Okay, seeing none. I do need a motion to approve these. We could probably do these all in one motion if you guys are amenable.
I move to approve the school action plans from Forestdale, Oak Ridge, and the middle high school.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Miller, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Excellent. Here it comes. Next up is Sandwich Middle High School boilers.
So from a fun topic to even more fun topic, right? I'd like to call up the aforementioned awesome Michael Ryan, our facilities director. Maybe he can kind of, he's the person who's really obviously the point person. But as I have in the background notes, the long and short of it is we found as we got into late spring, early summer, that we have a situation where 2 of the 3 boilers at the middle high school are or have failed. They're beyond their 30-year life expectancy, and I think we've had essentially the cause of the failure is corrosion that's built up over time, correct?
Yes.
So we tried the first route of kind of going to our insurance company and showing documented proper maintenance to see if there was any resolution or any financial relief. Unfortunately, there was not, because it's essentially the lifespan of the boilers. So we've made the decision to go down the road of emergency procurement, because we need to move on this, because as we get into October starts the start of the heating season. So we've made the plans to go down the road of emergency procurement, replacing them with cast iron boilers that run at about an 85% efficiency rate and have double the lifespan of higher efficiency condensing boiler. The cost, the bottom line of the 2 boilers will be $273,899. At this time, and we've had conversations with the town treasurer. We've determined probably the most prudent course of action would be to use the debt exclusion money from the spring of '22 to cover these expenses. I did include late this afternoon in the packet the most current spreadsheet that shows all of the expenditures, where we are exactly. I don't know, Michael, if there's any specifics that you'd like to add to kind of that overview.
No, you covered it well.
So, how many years ago is it when we first started talking about a major debt exclusion? It started with boilers.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, still at boilers. Will this address the heating issue in the 3 schools once this is taken care of?
No, this is just at the Sandwich Middle High School.
So was any of this 200 and something thousand, this was in the debt exclusion amount, because that's how that whole thing started? Is there any more in that initial debt exclusion?
Well, of the 2,274,000 that are left, there is a spot for boilers replacement at Forestdale and Oak Ridge. We were going to go forward and replace the boilers also at Forestdale.
Right.
With the way the cost is coming in from Wilkerson for the high school boilers, we may be able to do all 3 schools.
Okay.
If we don't do anything else.
Because as I recall, the whole discussion about what type of unit to buy, we were told that the newer ones, more efficient, smaller.
Correct.
All kinds of stuff. So, okay.
And keep in mind, I'm sorry, Michael, keep in mind that the debt exclusion was intended to be 5 years
Right,
as far as the
right.
projects. But keep in mind, the boilers and the HVAC project were for Forestdale and Oak Ridge. They were not for the middle high school, but because we've had this failure of 2 of the 3, we really have no choice, particularly with heating season coming up in 4 to 6 weeks, to go forward with this
So.
for the
in
middle
other-
high school.
Just for the public, and certainly for the finance committee, that we were really efficient in addressing this issue, that we even have this money available to address at least partially the high school issue.
Correct.
Okay.
I think it's multifactorial, if I may. One, are these the original boilers? Or have these been replaced once? I don't know if you know.
I think they've been replaced once, because
mean,
otherwise they'd
30
be
plus years.
49 years old.
We have aging infrastructure. This project was not specifically part of this debt exclusion, but the spirit of the debt exclusion was facility maintenance, and so, you know, we can certainly communicate this to FinCom and Select Board, the how and the why. The other piece is there is a time crunch here, and you know, it's come November, it's going to be cold. If we waited to do this at some other means, like special town meeting or something like that, the timing doesn't work, and plus we do have funds available right now. Eventually, it's, you know, it's for this project, like this project, but it all still needs to get done to support our students.
I'm not questioning any of it. I'm just,
Oh, no, I'm just laying out the other
due to
pieces.
changes in technology, things become more efficient. You do things a little bit different over the time period. And so, because we found efficiencies in other places, there's been a savings, money still in that debt exclusion account that can be used to
But-
continue to make improvements.
But there's still projects that are not yet complete on that debt exclusion.
That aren't going to get done because this is getting done.
And, Mike, you can maybe correct me, as I understand it, the HVAC project that was done at Oak Ridge has the ability to lessen the burden on the boilers that is that correct? Is that, or am I
Oh,
misleading?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So you can use those
think-
to supplement the heat at Oak Ridge, so yeah, you're going to have less of an impact on the boilers that are currently there, yeah.
So,
And just to go back, Sue, recall our discussion in the spring, I think it was in the early spring, to make a strategic decision that we would do the HVAC project at Oak Ridge and the boiler project at Forestdale. Realize in that original 22 debt exclusion, it was to do HVAC and boilers at both schools. However, between, in my humble opinion, under budgeting, but also inflation being driven up, it just didn't become tenable.
I mean, the increase in building costs in the last 5-6 years has been insane.
I have a quick question.
Mr. Fisher first, sorry, he raised his hand,
Sorry,
so,
Bart.
not to cut you off.
Does this go out to bid?
Because it's emergency procurement, it does not.
So how do you judge whether you're getting charged too much?
Through emergency procurement, you use the state bid list,
Okay.
which is generally by far the most competitive pricing.
Ms. Pinenda.
So I know we had the boilers for Forestdale and Oak Ridge on the original capital plan. Have they been inspected? Have they been evaluated lately? Are we going to run into an emergency issue with one of these? Are they functioning?
Hopefully not, they're
I know.
definitely functioning, and they've been inspected as far as like doing a fall cleanup, a tune-up before the heating season.
Perfect, and it's working okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the clock is ticking on those as
It
well.
is as
Absolutely,
well.
yeah.
They wouldn't be on here if they weren't, right? Thank you so much.
Those are the original boilers, and they're 36-year, it's a 36-year-old building.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, okay.
That was, as Sue mentioned, as I was coming on this committee, they were dealing with boilers, and that was 2020. So you don't,
The lack of boilers at the the boilers at the high school may not have been there, because the school was originally electrically heated, and so maybe they didn't have boilers then.
no, we were, the boilers I was talking about in 2020 was actually Forestdale and Oak Ridge. But yeah,
No, I'm
I'm with you.
The
Yeah,
high school.
that's a 50-year-old building.
maybe these are the original, when I say original.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a good point.
Original
Bert.
after they can
Yeah.
dump the electric heat.
because emergency, you don't need a vote from us. We're using this for
Correct.
facilities. There's no
It's
transfer
for
of
informational purposes, but also to be transparent about what exactly we're doing.
funds. And we can do some outreach with the other committees for awareness as well. And I will take care of that. Any other questions on that? Oh. All right. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Any other topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair? I have none. Subcommittee reports. I don't think any subcommittees have yet met.
I will put an all call to our policy subcommittee, which I believe is Alexis, Sue, and Kaylee. In the zeal to kind of finish up the graphic organizers, I noted, there's this whole large section of the G policies that were never gotten to. So we need to finish that work up. The second piece is this whole piece around competency determination. Remember, we had a conversation about that after the MCAS vote, and I think we discussed it in December and January and crafted policy that essentially went into the middle high school handbook. We now need, strongly advised that we have district policy about it. The good news is MASC has developed a template policy that's comprehensive in nature. But there are a lot of specifics, things that we did not discuss at the table. For example, part of the regs that are out now is what kind of good faith efforts are you doing for outreach for somebody who maybe wasn't granted a diploma because of MCAS. Now, I don't know what the data is in Sandwich. I would imagine it's not very high at all, but you have to have policy in place that covers aspects like that, just for informational purposes.
Okay. Yeah, if you could reach out to Kaylee, because need to get that
Kaylee's
train.
chair now, correct?
Need to keep that train moving down the tracks. It might be worth, Sue, us as a finance subcommittee meeting and taking a harder look at what's left on the debt exclusion and a couple other things.
Yeah, and I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Starting on the 16th of October, so if we could do a preliminary before that. No.
Maybe grab that spot before the next meeting on October 8th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point. All right.
I just had a question about the school committee advisory team that we do with the students, if we have anything on the books for that.
We do not, but we
Okay,
can.
we probably should.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe we could shoot for something like that, October 22nd.
That'd be great because there's a soccer game right before the 8th, so we're gonna meet that one.
Sue won't be here.
So, okay.
Oh, actually, Sue will be here.
But
okay.
Anyone else on? This is a good one.
Do we know if we have a person for the wellness committee yet?
We will as of tomorrow. Okay?
Great.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I have a CPAC. We were supposed to have a coffee this Friday, but it got postponed, hopefully, until next Friday, October 3rd at 9 a.m. at Cafe Chew.
So you jumped ahead of the liaisons, but that's no problem. Anyone else, any liaisons or advisory committee reports? Ms. Higgins.
So Cape Cod Collaborative met September 10th. And just a couple of updates. They are celebrating their 50th anniversary. They now have a new dog named their therapy dog, who is in training right now. Right now, he's just wandering around, getting acclimated with the area and the students and the staff. This goes back to the absentees and the transportation bit. They just were rewarded, it was a competition, the 310 grant, which is basically money that is given to them so that they can help districts that are serving students that are facing homelessness. So basically they would take that money and they would give it directly to each district who needs it. So that's just, an update. So they do have a grant for that if we do have any students in the district that are facing homelessness and need that transportation. And they have a new sign for Waypoint in South Yarmouth. And they also have adopted a new curriculum, IXL, which I have heard great things about. I don't have any personal experience with it, but I've heard wonderful things about IXL as far as the reading and math curriculum. And then they also use Newsela, which I've never heard of. But that's pretty much all of their updates for right now.
Okay. Anyone else? I did attend the district safety committee last week, working on some different initiatives for increasing communication within the buildings. Also looking at continuing the drills and exercise series on various things on evacuation and things like that. Won't get into too much details in the public forum like this, but I will say it is a very robust group. Everyone is leaning forward, and I thank the superintendent for continuing to lead the charge on that. Seeing nothing else, next up is warrants.
I make a motion that we approve the warrants as presented and signed tonight.
Motion by Ms. Benenda, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 6-0. Next up is our second public forum of the evening. Would anybody like to come forward at public forum? Seeing none. Next up, future agenda items. Dr. Miller.
I think it would be helpful if we had some type of report on the impact of the new GPA calculation and its impact up, down by students who had their GPAs recalculated.
Okay. Anyone else? Acknowledgements, closing remarks. Mr. Fisher.
Under closing remarks, I should have mentioned this earlier, but I didn't think of it then. Under attendance, do we do tardies, both staff and students?
We can cull that information. That isn't a state-reported information strand, but we could definitely pull that.
Are you having any problems with tardies on either staff or students?
Generally, no. But does it exist? Sure.
Okay, and do some schools, if you have so many tardies, you get Saturday suspension or something, or what?
Yeah, I think generally where you have, not to speak in generalities, but of our three schools where you would see that would be mostly at the middle high school, probably most in part, that's where you have drivers. And yeah, I don't know the exact threshold number, but over a certain amount of tardies, there are disciplinary consequences.
Okay. All right, thanks. I should have brought it up, but didn't.
Sorry. Anyone else? Dr. Miller.
Just a quick one. The principals, assistant principals do an amazing job on their newsletters, and the superintendent does. I just want to shout out to Sean Donovan for his updates.
Mm-hmm.
That is so wonderful to have what's happening where, and I'm sure the families appreciate it because I do.
What I can do is, and I've been meaning to do this, is just kind of an update on Parent Square. I have, for the most part, universally gotten positive feedback over a lot of aspects around it. One of the key default features as we're kind of learning, as we're creating content, is it does get aggregate everything into a digest version. So I think it defaults at either 6 or 6:30 p.m. where you get all of your kids' information in one email. And believe it or not, a lot of the feedback, I've probably gotten this for like a dozen, 15 years, is, I get so many emails, I must have missed that one, and so on. And I love the fact that it just aggregates everything. So it has a lot of positive features, and I think a lot of features that even some of our families are not cognizant of, as far as to create a Parent Square account and create your own settings so that you get your communications, say, via text instead of email, or you can use directly the app and so on. So probably something relatively concise to kind of show the bells and whistles of it.
And we mentioned that 2 weeks ago, and the very next day he was sending out the schedule day of rather than at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
it was 6 by noon the next day. The only thing I have, I just recognize the superintendent. He's actually heading out of town tomorrow. He was nominated or recommended by the Massachusetts Association of Superintendents to be considered for a program called Leading Now. It's a national thing of superintendents. I'll try to write it right. And he's going to be attending a seminar down in Atlanta. Not on us, the program, all costs paid, so it's no budget impact to us. Part of a national cohort of superintendents where they're going to be dealing with how to work or how to improve strategic communications in their own setting in their each individual districts from across the country. Again, nominated by Mass to do so. So good on you. Have a good trip, and we'll hear a little bit about it when you come back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have something, you can bother Dave Quinn for the next couple of days. So that's all I have. Our published executive session will not be held. We no longer need it at this point. The grievances that we were going to address are now in abeyance, and will convene in the future if necessary. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn tonight's business meeting until next one, Wednesday, October 8th at 6 p.m.
Motion by Ms. Spinenda, second by Ms. Goodwin. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are 6-0. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.